Gotta
what
have
is
some
life?
fun with
What
it.
is life if you can't poke fun at yourself? I mean,
Exactly.
shit, I've done so much in my life. I have a whole laundry list of shit to make fun of myself about.
I would really prefer if you would be quiet.
How's that?
Last time we talked about Chibi, we went over his entire history, and at the end, I said that we would probably end up here again, and sure enough, we did. Chibi throughout his history has managed to embarrass himself and his family on a mass scale, exposed himself to the internet figuratively and literally, destroyed his reputation to the point I don't even know if he's redeemable at this point, but to this day, Chibi continues to push forward, bing bang wahooing till the sun goes down and a family member screams at him to be quiet. In today's video, not only will we see Chibi continue on his journey to Japan with surprising results, try and reunite with Big Al, throw away his career, his degree, and the countless hours and dollars, all in the hopes of becoming a true senpai, and end up getting exposed by his former coworker. And if you want the entire history of Chibi, make sure to watch my last Chibi doc, linked down below, so you can understand his full history. But with all that aside, I think the best place to continue this story is with Chibi trying to reunite with Big Al. After the last known interview Chibi publicly did, where him and Big Al confronted each other on their past, and by confront, I mean Big Al poured his heart out to Chibi while Chibi deflected and barely acknowledged what Big Al actually had to say. After reflecting for almost a year on the situation, Chibi decided it was time him and Al actually had a conversation. For real this time. The other one didn't count. Chibi's true feelings was in another castle, but Big Al, instead of playing Chibi's games of manipulation, decided to speedrun the ending of their relationship.
And Jim also gave me some legitimate good advice back in the day. He was one of the very first people that I've talked to on this platform years ago who told me that there's a difference between, he said Al, you're a good guy. You're a kind-hearted person, but there's a difference between being kind and being a doormat. Do not let people walk all over you. And so, I've taken that to heart. Before anyone says anything, because I know it's going to be brought up, yes, I do know Adam posted on Facebook, wanting to talk to me one-on-one for one last time. And I know about this because people on his behalf kept pestering me about it. And I'll say here what I said to them. My answer is a resounding no, because my stance hasn't changed. Since the last time we spoke to now, hasn't changed a bit. And there's nothing new that I can say that hasn't been said before. And frankly, it's insulting to me that he thinks my biggest hang-up was his tone. That I didn't think he sounded remorseful enough, and that's why I was so pissed off. You're missing the point, Adam. You're missing the fact that you threw me under the bus for clout. So no, there isn't going to be a next time. I will never, hopefully, after this, I will never recite your name again. So I will forever wipe my hands off this stupid shit, and hopefully I will never talk about you or to you again.
But Chibi wasn't really sweating losing another friend. His true goals were coming closer to being achieved, and surprisingly, Chibi managed to earn his degree.
Adam White. Adam is receiving a Course Director Award in Systems Progression.
I like that jump.
Ah yes, Chibi just couldn't help himself but to continue the cycle. I can guarantee you, Chibi, we all like that jump. Now, many have questioned the reason Chibi has decided to get this degree in the first place. When you listen to Chibi and his goals, None of them are about game design. His lifelong mission currently is getting to Japan and getting established in the culture, and trust me, he has enough Persona cosplays to blend in on the trains, the schools, just about everywhere. He plans on teaching, so becoming one with his fellow Japanese brethren should be easy for him, I'm telling you guys. And then later on, he plans on establishing his own business, none of which include video game design or creation at all. And when you consider that he's around 34 years old currently, he doesn't have much more time to integrate himself into a new career. Well, I'd say a majority of people could. It'd be stressful, but possible. But we're talking about Chibi here, the man whose mom was certain he couldn't cook his own food until about his late 20s. So more than likely, the only thing Chibi has managed to achieve will most likely be a paperweight inside of his nice, comfy cardboard box outside of Tokyo. Around this time, Chibi, either in anticipation or celebration for his graduation, decided to man up and go to another con. Nothing bad could happen, and this is the same con that Chibi has sent his unsolicited NSFW pics to other members of the con's Discord. The fact he's even allowed there is insane in the first place. And could you imagine walking around a con that almost everyone there has got messages about you saying, hey, you see that guy? He's got documentaries all over YouTube. You should definitely tell him to be quiet if he comes your way. I'm not even kidding. You gotta protect yourself at all costs. His suitcase is packed and he might be looking for a new kazooie. And you can even see that Chibi is freaking out about this. He posts, it's already happening. People are spreading word that I'm coming and warning others to avoid at all costs. I don't know if I can go through with this. I'm getting a real bad feeling. But with the power of being a Disney adult and countless amounts of cringe, Chibi started to rethink his decision after receiving a few ass pats from people who couldn't wait to see what Chibi would do. Right here you can see Chibi begging, can someone tell me that I'm going to have a good time at Colossal North next weekend and stop freaking out about what other people will say about me? It's all I could think about during the therapy today. I guess Chibi's mom got him back into magnet therapy somewhere along the line, or he got another unfortunate therapist. But, you know, Chibi would be comforted by a few people who would tell me, you know what, Chibi, it's gonna be okay. And unsurprisingly, who would have thought this, that people would give Chibi so much encouragement to go to another con? In fact, it was so encouraging, Chibi had to post, I had no idea so many people were rooting for me. They sure are, Chibs. Thank you so much. Just never be quiet again in your life, man. You got this. Chibi then says, this is my redemption arc, and next week, I'm gonna make sure I always do the right thing. I will make sure anyone I meet feels safe and respected. And you know what, Chibi? I bet you put your best foot forward. You definitely didn't take about 4 steps back after getting all of this admiration of people being so proud of you for bucking up and putting on your best behavior. He was so accomplished, he decided it was time to don his favorite Kingdom Heart outfit and do what most of us don't. Have the courage and go to a convention. This man truly carries the weight of the world on his shoulders. But apparently not a watch, because Chibi ended up arriving 8 hours earlier than all of his roommates and being locked out in the cold. So he decided to sit in the freezing weather, not even checking out the town, while hopefully not dressed in full cosplay. But you know he was in full cosplay, it's Chibi. And you gotta wonder, would Chibi typically been very hesitant to attend public conventions anymore, since he's very aware he'll probably be recognized at the very least as the I'd really prefer if you'd be quiet guy. And that worry must have doubled when Chibi realized there was a Lolcow show at the convention. Yes, a show presenting Lolcows. Like, what is the coincidence? I wonder if the people presenting knew they had a Legend of the Pasture in attendance. But luckily for him, they covered Daniel Larson and World of T-Shirts, and I believe Cyrax, maybe. So with everything that could go wrong, what would drive Chibi to make this decision to go to this con out of every one of them, to make this his highest priority? Well, it's the fact that there was some NSFW shows being put on by girls dressed as some anime characters that Chibi liked. The Cheapster wasn't missing that. That's like the Japan in his imagination, just in America. He wouldn't even have to move if that was his daily life. Chibi probably hadn't felt so lucky in years. After getting his degree, meeting the anime girls of his dreams, Chibi returns home and decides to try his hand at another one of his passions. Chibi was going to enter a karaoke competition, marking down 2 of his most renowned performances, Awada's funeral ceremony and Chibi's father's.
There's a guy up there that does not know how to sing at all. He's like very, very horrible at singing, but like he'll do all like the Elvis dances.
Oh.
Yeah, like he sings a bunch of Elvis songs. He films himself doing it. He has like 2 phones where he films, one to FaceTime. I think one to FaceTime somebody and another to like straight to Facebook. I don't know, some weird influencer shit. I try not to be critical of other people's skills because like everybody's at different skill levels, but he also was creeping on people at the bar. Like there was a goth girl that I sat with, her and her friends, when I was there the last time, and she's like, yeah, this guy kept harassing me in the parking lot, just like asking me where I was going and all this, and it was just kind of like really uncomfortable, and he ended up getting kicked out once. I'm like, weird how he's still involved in this competition at all.
After getting salty about losing the competition, Chibi would make his most baffling decision to date. Many know that Chibi works for AT&T selling phone plans, which gave him enough money and time to take multiple week-long trips to Japan a year. Not only that, but give him tons of time off and raises on top of it. Chibi's mom worked very hard to get him this job so he could finally get out of her house, but something would happen that would destroy all of that. Chibi went on another trip to Japan scheduled around a meeting with one of his potential employers. There was no interview happening, just meeting one another. And yes, this is a step in the right direction, but Chibi got so overexcited about this, he decided to put his 2 weeks notice in beforehand. Chibi at the time had 0 other known opportunities for employment in America, and it was going to be a long time before he even interviewed for a Japanese company, let alone get a job there. Let me repeat myself. He was interviewing for the company, didn't even have a job. Who quits their job for an interview in a foreign country? It just doesn't make that much sense. And he still had to pay bills at his apartment in Michigan. I'm sure Mama Chibi was very excited to hear this news. And a little bit later, Chibi would hear back from Japan. But much like when a 13-year-old exposes you cheated in a speed run, it wasn't a call he wanted. Chibi unfortunately wouldn't be hired by the job that he stayed up hours in the middle of the night, quit his job basically, to even be interviewed by the place. Such a tragedy Chibi went through. And after this, it can only be assumed that Chibi's mom kicked into overdrive and somehow managed to get Chibi a job selling insurance. And surprisingly, they'll allow him to work there overseas, or at least that's what Chibi is saying. But with losing a substantial amount of income, Chibi put a strain on his roommate, the Chadby, Chibi's brother, and this was wearing on the relationship. And I'd imagine Chibi had taken his brother with him to Japan. When he went to talk to the employer, they ended up not hiring him to sweeten him up before he dropped the news on him that he was going to quit his job and Chadby would be left to feed Chibi and take care of the bills in the meantime. This didn't sit too well with Chadby, as he would announce shortly after this he was going to be moving out of the apartment with Chibi to take care of their grandmother.
I got a side gig. I'm going to be doing selling life insurance in the state of Michigan. Dude, I'm not even kidding. I think I spend maybe like 4 to 5 hours studying Japanese every single freaking day. Yeah, so in terms of Japan, yeah, so I had my final interview for that one position, and unfortunately that fell through. But there was another company that I had actually applied for several weeks ago that I did not hear back from, and they finally messaged me back saying they wanted to do an interview in the middle of the night. And it was like 4:15 in the morning, so I had to be out of bed and fully dressed at 4 a.m. for this interview. Which I did. And the interview was actually really long. It was like an hour 30. What's the pay rate? I don't want to disclose too much information. But I will say I should have enough to get by. Think you'll get a Japanese girlfriend? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. That's not what I'm focused on right now, though. Right now, I am focused on starting my life there and seeing how happy I am. Hopefully I am, and there's a possibility that I may not be happy there. Maybe it's too much. Maybe the work-life balance is too aggressive, and I am fully ready to accept that possibility. And if that happens, I can always move back here, and I have a job. I have a second job. I'll be doing that regardless.
Yes, somehow Chibi got incredibly lucky after losing out on one of the jobs in Japan. Another one came in to save the day. You got the right castle this time. Now you just gotta wait for the next game. But not everything was smooth sailing from there on out. But more on that later. We're going to talk about after Chibi quit his job at AT&T because some hilarious things unfolded. After quitting his job, one of Chibi's co-workers who became aware of his farm page and posted a lot of unknown information about Chibi during those months, and since Chibi's time with the company was coming to an end, the Kiwi user decided he was going to post most of the messages he had with Chibi, where it was revealed all of Chibi's co-workers were quite aware of his infamy and understood better than anybody why Caveman, after only 45 minutes of sitting on that couch, just had to tell Chibi to be quiet, because they were even telling Chibi to be quiet in his text messages. I couldn't imagine having to work with this dude, like at all. So we're going to go ahead and read some of these messages off to you guys, because there's some that I can't show you because out of spite, this dude leaked some of Chibi's personal info that we're just not going to show to you guys. So if I'm reading something and you don't see it, that's the reason why, but it's easily available. You can go find it yourself. So let's go ahead and get started with one of the first texts. So Chibi messages the guy who writes about him on the Kiwi Farms page all of the time. It turns out Chibi is probably aware that this guy does it and doesn't like him at all. As you can see here, Chibi says, "I know you hate my guts and all, but I would prefer if you could be quiet." I'm just kidding. "If we could at least be cordial at work. Every time I have to talk to you or get on your bridge, it feels like you can't say a word to me outside of work. I still have a job to do. I would appreciate if you would at least be less hostile towards me, especially doing things like laughing at me or removing me from calls." So this guy, Chibi's just talking regularly, and the guy just all of a sudden yep, no, Chibi's gone. So now we move on to Chibi complaining in his group chat, and I guess it was so bad that the rest of his co-workers all came together and said, "Hey, manager, will you please tell Chibi to stop telling us about all of his problems in general chat and just talk about work." So the guy goes on to message Chibi, "We are a very supportive team and always give feedback or constructive criticism to help better each other. I mean, if you do not want feedback or all of that stuff or to hear constructive criticism, I suggest giving someone a call instead of posting it in the group chat. We are very opinionated," which Chibi goes on to say, "Like I said before, usually I do. The customer outright told me no. I'm feeling very uncomfortable where this conversation is going. I'm on my way to my next dispatch, and if there's an opportunity there, I will be sure to do everything I can to capitalize on it." And the other person says, "You're uncomfortable with me giving advice? That's what a team is for, Chibi." But Chibi doesn't know teamwork. He's used to people telling him to be quiet and get out of the room, and that's what he does so he can go bing bang wahoo all night long. And this is a very normal thing to come from Chibi. Chibi just posted that he had an accident. Just ready to go. You'll be seeing 4 on board from me soon. I'll be doing everything one-handed today. Ha ha ha. Chibi's used to doing things one-handed. This isn't too much of a problem. Just about, he accidentally just double posted it to his coworkers. So then we're going to move on to the next message. I don't know who's typing this, but it says, "He's off today. I would possibly email him this." I'm just imagining Chibi was complaining about something to one of his coworkers, and then Chibi comes along and says, "One common objection that I have been getting from older customers who have wireline services is that they only have their cell phones in case of emergencies, and most of the time their cell phones are only prepaid, paying either 20 or 30 a month. And some also don't really like using cell phones because they're too complicated. What would be your recommendation for encountering and overcoming these issues?" And the person just responds, "Okay, thanks, Chibi. you did really well. You will definitely get those old people next time." Then we'll move on to the next message. "Doesn't matter to me. She'll have to wait either way, and I've already got 4 today. Okay." So the guy then, he's tired of Chibi, so he just sends in the "I would really prefer if you would be quiet" segment. And the only thing Chibi could say is, "Excuse me?" Could you imagine you're just talking to your coworker, and one of the ways they can get you is just sending your most embarrassing moment that has about 9 million views at the time, and all you have to say is "excuse me," not "oh, okay, I will be quiet." And the guy just explains himself. "We're trying to get accurate information from you, and you're being annoyingly passive aggressive. So this is my response, to which we don't see Chibi respond, and I just assume that he did in fact be quiet. And now we're on to the next message, where Chibi is complaining that he tries so damn hard, but nothing ever works out for him. He says, I'm out here every day putting my heart and my soul, all of my energy into this, and all I get are people that are too wishy-washy and flimsy. Don't get discouraged. We are living through an inflation right now. That's what someone had to say to Chibi. And Chibi goes on to say, that's no excuse. I need to be making sales, people. I need to make money out here. Other people can do it. There's no reason why I can't. And the guy says, you just got to get the right customer at the right time. But it's Chibi. I don't even think that's a reality. And I guess later on in the work year, Chibi decided he needed another trip to Japan. But before he went, he realized he is flat broke and has no money to go. So he informs his group chat, y'all, I canceled my trip. I know where I'm needed right now, and I need to put all of my focus on this. My numbers suck, and I need to fix it, but I can't do this alone. So if anyone has some best practices or things you've done this month to be awesome, please share with me. I want to win together, which most likely no one messaged him back. So we're going to move on to another message in which Chibi and his coworker were getting into an argument because Chibi had managed to frustrate this guy. Chibi was going to people's house and telling them that he was working with the technicians and that if they worked with him, that he could get a hold of the technicians and make the transition smoother for them, which was a lie because every time a technician would come out to the house that Chibi said he knew them at, they would be left confused and bewildered at what was going on and made even more of Chibi's coworkers hate him because they had to clean up his mess. So the message says, you told me to never discuss anything regarding work when you're personal. Ethics said to limit all interactions with you. I'm quite literally following orders because of your actions. You don't like it, you're the reason for it. Chibi says, I'm texting you on here because my COU is dead. I don't have another phone to use ATM. Regardless of limiting our interactions when it's for business purposes, it should supersede personal biases. So I ask again, do we have the phones at the hub or not? There's no personal biases here. I'm just complying with the parameters that have been set out for me regarding you by yourself and management. If you want, we can have a meeting with our ISM to discuss moving forward new parameters, but until such time, I'm just going to keep following orders. So it seems that Chibi got himself into another mess. And guys, we already know that this dude who he's talking to at the moment is the person posting on the forums. He doesn't like him in general, so we can also imagine that this guy's been a little difficult on Chibi, which if you're in a job would be incredibly frustrating. But Chibi probably earned it. He probably definitely earned this himself. So now we get a text message that Chibi sent out to all of his coworkers. My brother's car got stolen and we're stranded in Chicago. I don't know what we're going to do about getting home. And I'm going to tell you guys, those are the worst messages you could ever hear while you're at work. You're just sitting there waiting to go home. I don't know if Chibi works at a place where he has to be relieved of his efforts. Someone has to come in and take over for him. But if he does, oh man, I would not like the cheapster. When you're just sitting at work and all of a sudden it's about an hour before you have to go, you get a message that your coworker can't come in and you gotta stay over. There's no people you like less in the world than when that happens to you. But Chibi, this is just a common occurrence. He's just in Chicago for no reason whatsoever and now he's stranded. And we can only assume that this happened on like a work day. He just went to Chicago to go shopping for a little bit. I'll be at work later on, and just got stranded out there. And now we're going to move on to the final message that Chibi sent to his workers. Well, one of the final messages. Guys, I need help. I am on the cusp of losing this job if I don't perform this month. I don't know what happened to me. I used to be able to close 40 or 30 lines at any given month, no problem. And now I'm going weeks without making sales. I'm so anxious and so scared of what's going to happen to me. And I absolutely refuse to go back to retail. I don't know if it's the customers are just more stubborn now, but I don't feel like I've done anything different than what I usually do. And it wouldn't matter because shortly afterwards, Chibi would put his 2 weeks notice in and just forget all about this for the glorious Japan. But honestly guys, getting exposed that he was despised by all of his coworkers was meaningless to Chibi. It's time for the Chibi cycle to completely reset itself from scratch. After getting the job in Japan, his degree in game design, Chibi was ready to tackle another hurdle that escaped him through the years. That was becoming a streamer, the path that was ripped away from Chibi with Caveman's vicious words. At least twice a week, you can find him streaming a variety of games, and he's still the same goofy cringelord we all knew back in the day, so if you're interested in the return of a legendary Lolcow, go check it out. But his return to streaming has left Chibi where he has to confront his past, whether he likes it or not.
Aren't you afraid of the trolls? Nah. I've lived through that long enough. I honestly don't really care anymore. 'Cause why spend your life being afraid? I mean, okay, what happened happened. People are never gonna forget it. And that's that. Some people will move on from it, others won't. No, I have not creeped on somebody at a bar before. No. I barely even go to bars.
Imagine drinking.
Imagine drinking anywhere but home. Or at a hotel. Or at a restaurant. But not a bar. I don't do bars. I'll only say this once. Anything that I've done previously does not reflect what I do now. So whether I did or didn't do something at a con before is not reflective of my character and does not reflect who I am at the moment. My past does not define me, and I refuse to allow it to. And like any actions that I did do previously, I am not excusing them either. They were anything that I did, I regret. It is inexcusable, and I learned from it. As is pretty much the way with anybody who makes a mistake in their life. I wasn't being a hurt little bitch. I prefer to be called something, and I deserve the at least the bare minimum, the amount of respect to have you actually refer to me by that. And if you want to come in here and call me a hurt little bitch, guess what? I'm not giving you any of my respect either. So you either refer to me the way I want to be called, or otherwise, I'd really prefer if you shut the hell up.
I would really prefer if you would be quiet.
Guy! Another guy. A guy! Another guy! Okay. Guy? Is there a guy? I'm scared!
Now this is the part where I actually stop.
Come on! Stop throwing guys at me! I can only handle so many guys.
And this return to streaming has also brought us some more classic Chibi moments. Back in the mid-2010s, it was just another Tuesday if one of Chibi's family members woke up in the middle of the night to beg and plead for him to go to bed or just be quiet while he's streaming Mario. But after he left streaming, there was a void left for us that has quickly returned, because even though Chibi's brother only has a few more weeks left with Chibi, that doesn't stop Chibi from trying to destroy whatever shred of sanity his brother had left. And we get a new classic catchphrase from the Chadby. It's 2 in the morning. I'd really prefer if you would be quiet, Chibi. And then Chadby goes to lay down and ponder his life. What went wrong? Man, I've got to get to Grandma's sooner than later. Or maybe that was just a ploy Chadby pulled to get Chibi to leave for Japan quicker. Who knows?
Everything good?
No, it's 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. All right, I gotta keep things down a little bit. My brother's trying to sleep, so I can't be super loud. I'll still try to voice act, but I won't be able to I won't be able to shout very loud. Now, I shouldn't have to remind you, Defense, but you yourself was surprised.
Even after being told to be quiet, Chibi doesn't care at all. He continues his voice acting, he just lowers his pitch down a little bit. And Chibi, he really gets into playing those roles when he's voice acting, so I kind of understand the pain his brother was going through. If you guys had to sit here and listen to some of the voice acting Chibi does, it's painful. But now with the clock winding down until he leaves for Japan, Chibi would begin to worry over finances. It was revealed to Chibi by a person who claimed to work at the same company Chibi got a job at that he potentially wasn't going to be getting paid for almost 2 months. And with Chibi already quitting his job at AT&T and just relying on selling insurance, which Chibi isn't a very good salesman as you heard, Chibi's funds are very low and he's not even in Japan yet. Chibi, when he gets to Japan, will have to pay for rent, food, and all of his other necessities without potentially receiving an income for 2 months. And we know how irresponsible he is. The cardboard box is coming sooner than later. Solid as Chibi out there. We all know that in the States, Chibi's mom is forced over and over again to fix Chibi's mistakes, personal and financial, but Chibi has put himself in a position where not only is he burning everything he worked hard to obtain in America, which is like so uncommon for a lolcow in the first place, but if he crashes and burns overseas, his mom won't be there to be his safety net. Chibi has potentially set himself up for his biggest disaster, all for the fantasy of living in Japan, a place where he'll have less friends, as hard as that is to believe, and Chibi thinks he has trouble communicating in public in the US. Imagine how bad it'll be in Japan, a place where that's not even his first language. I hope Chibi's mom is ready for a very long flight out and a very long scolding as she returns home, and this will all be happening very soon. At the time I'm uploading this video, Chibi is less than a week and a half until he starts his new life in Japan. Time can only tell what'll come of that. But until then, make sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up when the inevitable disaster comes along. Like the video, comment, and follow all the socials down below. Big ups to Chibi's Kiwi Farm page, the only real way to keep up to date with Chibi now, and it helps it's one of the funniest ones out there. This video wouldn't have been possible without them. But with all that said, I'll catch you guys next time.